On today's Empowerment Meditation, we're going to delve deeply and experientially into something that's been called the truth. And this is the actual truth, and each one here will identify with it, because the truth is something spiritual, something to do with eternity, with God, with heaven, with something quite righteous and true and eternal. It has to do with the real of us, our soul. We talked about the power of the sun being a radioactive device where it's the weight, the presence of it is compressed. Like a fistful of the sun would weigh like the same as a mountain because it's compressed. And it would take a year and a half for a photon of light to normally goes at 286,000 miles a second to go from the center of the sun to wherever, you know what I mean, to reach the surface. But it would take an actual 150 years because it's condensed to reach the surface. A radioactive device, right? We are God's radioactive device. We who know that we're spiritual. We have the absolute awareness and knowledge and understanding and wisdom of eternity within us. And this world being what's traditionally been called the illusion or a way station to eternity, to those who are truly spiritual, is a barren desert. There's nothing spiritual about it. It's a wide open space. It's the opposite of that radioactive device. There's nothing spiritual happening here. When something spiritual does happen here, they'll hang it on a cross, beat it to death, stone it, whatever. If anyone identifies with God, if they're a mystic, whatever, they're castigated. They don't want anything different to happen because it's an entire force field. The world it seems to be. A force field without any true substance. A force field nonetheless. So we who are spiritual are quite alone here. But not in a bad way, because we understand this. We understand that we're truly and forever alone while we're here, and yet we have unending gifts, graces, friendship to offer all those who would desire that, who would desire a life of simplicity, openness, kindness. And along with it and behind that, that's the surface activity of a spiritual being. But we all know we contain within us that divinely radioactive device, like 100 trillion star systems filled of suns. These are not just words. If we study the writings of the ancients, anyone up to Thoreau or last evening, people experience this. It's been called the beatific vision, the vision of God, the vision of you, the vision of something so precious, kind and true and real and whole, that it is hated by the entire world. These are not just words. That's why you can never adequately prove yourself to anyone ever. No one wants to hear it. They want to hear the score of the game or whatever, or that Sally had her hair done. We're going to move experientially into a realm where we're going to openly feel this, because we will project it and we'll feel the fullness of the gift of spirituality during this session. Right now we're just setting the stage to explain what all of us who are spiritual understand. We're truly alone, castigated as it were. We are without friendship in this world. That's not a complaint. We're not asking for anything, but we're sitting here quietly. why the Almighty Himself looks out through our eyes. Everyone in this room knows exactly what I'm saying. We have so much love and kindness and wisdom and strength. So many gifts. And those that would partake are so few. So we settle with human love or something just a little more elegant than the everyday. The arts, whatever. But it's not going to be good enough. Today we're going to see exactly what it will take to eradicate all the emptiness of this world and replace it with something full, something gracious, something kind, something true, which is the presence of our Father God, which all of us who are spiritual contain and maintain within us all day, every night, forever. And when we're, as it were, incarnate in this world system, there's nowhere for it to go. No one really wants it. From time to time, we'll pull someone aside or someone who has great spiritual presence about them and try to let them know there's nothing wrong with them, that it is this plane of beingness, this world system, that is the problem. Because our roots are in heaven. And we're just blossoming here, one infinitesimal hairline of a blossom. That's what we are as a incarnate spiritual being. And we know that. And we spend a life researching this thing to try to find out where we can fully bloom and provide gifts and power and strength and fortitude to all those that we love. But it's never wanted. Again, this is not a complaint. This is a stepping stone into understanding. All the misunderstandings we have in our life, because no one actually ever helps us. No one actually ever listens to us. And yet we're so humble inside and so kind that we're never going to use those words. We're never going to say it. We're never going to affront anyone's integrity of their beingness. So we're going to move today into a place where we're going to understand that we are that compressed radioactive device, and we will allow ourselves to feel the full might and presence of God within us. We're going to let it out gently, slowly and continuously through this hour. Because it's gone on long enough. Hasn't it? Thank you. Each of us here has the ability to heal, to help, to teach, to coach, to correct, to redirect anyone or anything in our environment, don't we? When it's called upon. But to fully electrify our friends with the power, the grace of the soul that's within us, that's simply not wanted, is it? And because we have no, I remember years ago I told a friend of mine, because I wrote some very, very lovely spiritual books and so forth, I said if I had, I'm just being very honest, and all of us identify with this. This is just an example, I'm talking about myself. If I had, because I knew all the great writers and so forth that spoke and wrote books about spirituality, because a friend of mine ran the largest publishing house and so forth. And so I said if I had 1% of an ego, I would be on top of all that, but you had to fight through the morass of everyday mediocrity to be someone and present your point of view and so forth. And a spiritual person, we're selfless inside. We're not going to enforce our view, even though it would heal the whole world. Everything from here to heaven would be healed if we could let this out. I hope we're all who are spiritual identifying with what's being said. We can all feel this is true, right? There's nothing wrong with us. There's everything right with us. The only difficulty we have is we're not given the place, the attention, the quiet, the humble attention that we give to everyone else. We're self-effaced, we're genuine, we're caring. We have many, many, many gifts of healing, of understanding, of igniting a flame in anyone. Everyone in this room has spoken to someone that we find worthy from time to time and inspire them. Let them know there's nothing wrong with them, whether it's one of Gerber's clients or whatever, or Greg, we just know this is the right point to light a fire, and we light it. But how often are we allowed to match what's inside us with the needs of people that go unwanted, unheard? Speaking from a fully spiritual point of view, we've all met people that are so touching, so humble, so true. And it might be years later that we'll realize we ran into someone that was what I'll call a teacher, a divine presence, a divine being. And very, very, very rarely will anyone in their environment really understand who they were, who they are, and more than that, what they are. I've met many in my life, and I call them my teachers. Even though I'm humble, kind, always had that experience of illumination, whatever you want to call it. And you run into someone like that and just stills all your senses. But the world doesn't want it. And this isn't a bad thing. Again, we're rooted in heaven, but we're here in this temporal environment, meaning in time, which doesn't exist, because something in us knew something was needed somewhere in the universe. So we gave up our part in divinity. And presently we're here. And no one wants or needs us. Does that make sense? And the situations get very convoluted and intense, and there's always something that goes off around it. I myself I've always had the ability to step through the great amount of that morass of the silliness and do what I have to do spiritually, but it's never quite enough, because I need to, I must, I have to, and I will. And all the madness, all the mediocrity, all the silliness, all the insipidness of the whole world forever. I'm speaking for all of us who are spiritual. That the mystery of God should be finished. That there be time no longer. In other words, the sense of time is the problem. People think they live in a world and they're going to build their, like the Buddha said, you will build your house of illusion no more. In other words, once you're illumined, you're not here anymore. You don't want anything or need anything. You're very quiet. And these things are communicated from the soul, which is an infinite presence, which has zero to do with anything in this world. God never created a body, a place, or a time. That is the illusion, called Maya in the Sanskrit, right? So if we train our senses through the process of meditation to not react to our own experience, to be so quiet and calm that we can perceive our own perception, that's the very first instant of meditation. That's where it all begins. That's where you see the people I've spoken of that are so contrite, that are actually holy. They don't know it because they want to give, they love, they care, and they don't have the wisdom that we're talking about today because they're so good. They're so decent. They're not here. They don't even really understand when they're being abused. And that's not their problem, because when they pass, they'll become the sunlight again, as they always were. And they'll have many, many visions during that time here, when they've given their self to the earth god temporarily to say, hey, you don't need this. You don't need the pain, the awkwardness, the insipidness, the silliness of it all, the pain of it all. It's a very serious business, being spiritual. It doesn't help to be on this side or that side of any issue. That will never help. 1/3 of human beings are always very open in their personality about changing things. 1/3 are very staid and very traditional, and the other 1/3 doesn't care. It doesn't matter what the issue is, the time, the socio-political atmosphere, it doesn't matter. And there's always that triumvirate of differences. In God, there's no difference. There's a similitude. In other words, you become as God is. When you experientially, emotionally, psychologically, spiritually walk away from the whole world, as though everything I'm talking about never existed. And then heaven will be where you're at. It's in your consciousness, your personal consciousness. You'll never change anything in the outside world. It has no meaning. Again, it is the illusion. It's a lost realm. But more importantly, it actually is hell or a hell. There are hells. But hell doesn't exist spiritually because it's an illusion. So if we train ourselves to not react to it at all, it's not here and it never was. I know for myself, again, all of us who are spiritual can identify with this. This has never been here. And again, we're alone, but not in a bad way. It's like taking a walk in the woods in the early morning, just by yourself, or maybe you have your dog with you, whatever, and just, or your sweetheart or child, and it's just, everything's okay. But that's still part of the illusion, but it's so much better than the downtown city streets during rush hour, isn't it? But in the downtown city streets during rush hour, if you're illumined, even that works out for you. Because God, despite God being infinitely humble presence, God's contrite before us as we are before Him. We spoke of that last week, that if you're ever to experience the Holy Host, the great ones, the great presence of the divine, we'll find that they're just like us in our heart, although they experience the infinity of the spiritual cosmos, which is unending, gorgeous, golden, like 100,000 seas of ecstasy, happiness, understanding, wisdom, and it's all interesting, and there's so many dimensions to it. It's not like earthly consciousness whatsoever. And so we who, like in an eye droplet, have like allowed ourselves to be incarnate here, we want to give that, and we're here a certain amount of time, and we can't. It's not wanted. So there's nothing wrong with you. There's everything right with you. And if we can consider this message today, then we can take it to the next step, where we can use our gifts, our influence, to end the whole world forever, because that's what enlightenment is. That's what it decries. That's what the decree of the heart of the soul is, that we individually must end the illusion. I hope it's beginning to make sense, because I know that's what's within you. I know that that's your need. I know that every spiritual person who ever lived feels, well, despite the fact they're in touch with God, and it's infinitely wonderful, as an individuated presence in the world, there's a sense of failure because we can't express this, we can't give it. We look for a better way, a more subtle way, a kinder way, a more human way to share this. And though we have great gifts, they're not wanted. And we know that. A friend of mine offered me, I could do anything I want when I was early 20s, I guess. And I knew that I wasn't ready, but I was ready spiritually. All my friends knew that I had this gift, and so I had to go through a lifetime, as we all understand what I'm about to say, just feeling God is, okay, that's there, but that's not what the problem is. I had to learn, I was very directed of God to be thrown into the furnace of all the different hells in the world. And because the problem with people, although I could teach, heal, give a class where people would all walk away floating, they would instantly, right after that, be tempted for this or that, or a relationship, or a home, or whatever in the world, and then they would invite me to their new home that they got because they were blessed of whatever learning they received. And so I realized that the problem isn't for people to experience God, whether it's a Sunday morning in church, beautiful literature, or art, or love, or holding a child, or that innocence where you know there's something beyond the everyday. The problem in the world is temptation. So we have to train ourselves to not be tempted. And to not be tempted means for us first to not be tempted to take part, to turn ourselves inside out on behalf of other people, but to somehow find a way to declare the actual spiritual truth. So we have to represent God in a way that's so fearless, so true, so real, so powerful within. In other words, we do maintain and contain within us God's power, which is unimaginable. We don't talk about it in that way because then it will be as though God has to confront the devil in the world, which is, the world is an illusion. So if we train ourselves to not react to it, then this condition of illumination simply is. And then we look around us, and most people are tempted by the devil they all think, well, by next week, or I'll get this, or I'll do that. And there's no getting or needing or having in spiritual consciousness. So we take ourselves to that next level of not wanting or needing. With that in mind, right now, we're going to do one of the many spiritual enhancement techniques available to us. To just do this one thing, and that is to not react to our own perception. And it's not just we become quiet, calm, or not reacting to things. Right in that moment, it's like we're transfused with something gracious, wonderful. We're transfixed. Something will happen to us as we step into this other realm, right? Because God is always here. God's never not been here. God, our Father, that infinite contriteness of the universe. And yes, God is God. And we are God's instruments. And we're His face and His hands and His heart in this world. And we have the power to heal everything forever. And that's what this is about today. I'm just slowly moving to that point as to how we can do it. Use all of our gifts to end the madness, the silliness, and for me the pain, the travail, aware of everything in this world, for different reasons, and the horrors of it are manifold. They're the indignity of so much in this world is it's unnecessary, and it's also unreal. And if we quiet ourselves, these different gifts that we have, to end it all in this time here, because this time around you can fulfill your spiritual destiny, which is God's spiritual destiny. We said before that to be time no longer, that the mystery of God should be fulfilled, that we understand all reality. And all reality means that there's a condition of enlightenment. And for us, it means that the world will never continue. It will end on our watch. It's all in consciousness. Clear your mind, and the rest will follow. That is the truth. Counting back from 100 to 90, at which point, again, one of so many techniques, whether it's prayer, contemplation, reflection, meditation, whatever it is, whatever takes you to a heightened atmosphere. We'll go there now as a stepping stone towards Nirvikalpa Samadhi, it's called. In Sanskrit, God consciousness. Ultimate enlightenment, nirvana. The vision of God, the beatific vision. It's the vision of you. Isn't it you? That's what we're talking about. For you to literally experience and identify with God, our Father. And our only problem with that is we're so contrite and humble inside that we can't do that. Guess who's so contrite and humble and can't do that? God towards us. When we understand that, I'll speak for myself, every instant of my existence, God has been there in unimaginably wonderful and humble ways. I never had a moment of reading a book or anything, any moment in my life where I wasn't completely aware of God, and yet it just is. You don't really know it's there because God is so, just wants to help. And that's what we want to do. And that's what the message of today is. We just want to help. I've seen so much death, I'll go into it very quickly, that, and I see the souls of people while they're in body, when they're dead or when they die, and it doesn't matter what the circumstance, everyone has a soul, and everyone's soul is connected to God. And if we understand the force of temptation called Satan, this demonic presence that projects what the world seems to be, if we understand that and don't react to that, and you can take it all day. It doesn't mean anything. If you don't react to it, it's gone. It's like Clubber Lang in the Rocky movie, right, Gerber? It's like, Gerber's our fighter here. It's Rocky just let him hit him for 8 rounds, and then he said, "You ain't so bad. You ain't." Remember that? So if you look at the devil, you ain't so bad. You can take it all day, every day, and it doesn't mean anything. And yet this thing called the devil is what projects everything that's untoward in our life. We don't need it, we don't have to address it, and if we get ourselves very quiet, everything that's been said will come to the fore, come to the front, and we'll understand. And it will be as though the world never existed to us. And then whether we have 30 years here or 5 years, it doesn't matter, they won't exist. You will change the world. You will alter the course of history. It's within us all. Just through understanding these words and experiencing the simplicity, the purity, the wonder of you. We have a higher consciousness, and that's our true body, and that's the body of God. That's what we are. Counting back from 100 to 90, we're going to be completely quiet inside. We're not going to act to our own impulses, senses, to our own perception. You're a very courageous presence to actually do such a thing, aren't you? This is beyond any activity in the whole world. Anything, any achievement, any honor, any love you might have, this transcends that. This is the real you, beyond the temptations of the world. This is the sweet, true, eternal you, infinite in conscious awareness and as one with the Holy Father, God Almighty. Quiet our senses at 90, and we see Him, the only God, and we, His shining light in this world, here to do a great work. Completely quiet all of our senses, no matter what, at 90. And the rest of our life, whenever we do this or any of these processes, will become quiet. And after a short time, we won't need a process. We will feel, as we're going to feel now at 90, God Himself looking out through our eyes. Just the breathing. 100. 99. 98. 97. Isn't it wonderful that this is the truth? That you're a divine presence? That your problems are over? You have only solutions, and you have the ways and the means to heal the nations. Isn't it remarkable? Aren't you remarkable? Aren't you brave to have a moment in time where this understanding comes to you and reminds you of who you are? Isn't that wonderful? Aren't you wonderful? Isn't it true that we don't need this anymore? We're there at 90. Thank you. 96. 95. How could it be but all that the wisdom of the ages in consciousness is the answer to everything? Of course it would have to have something to do with God. It's not a socio-political dilemma or a physical ailment or money in the bank. None of that means anything. When you're away from the whole world, this magical quality, this courageous gift called faith will answer everything. You'll owe no one money, allegiance, or time. You simply won't be here. And you'll have eternity, whether we're here 30 years, 5 years, all that means nothing. You will be living in eternity. I am a living witness to you. I've lived in eternity always and gone through everything that we've all gone through. I'm saying that for all of us to identify with one of us, of the many millions of us who are spiritual, that we're going to enforce that eternal part of us becomes the everyday. We're not going to hide anymore because we want to help. And we're going to help. So help me God, we're going to help. Aren't you? 95. There's nothing wrong with you. 94. You are God's gift. You are a spiritual presence. In the midst of a darkened age, you light the whole world up. That burning flame of divine presence within your heart and soul and your psyche. These many, many gifts will be directed through you, by you, of you, and you will heal in ways that have not been understood until now. It's your time. This will come to you. During the late evening hours, daytime, wherever you're at, whatever's happening, the teaching will be with you. God will be with you every moment, every second of every day. You don't have to do anything. You don't have to go anywhere. You don't have to study anything. You don't even have to pray. It will come to you, it will come to you, and it will come to you, because God is God. You are God's senses in this world, and we'll end it. It will just happen. And it's a big work. It's a war. But it's wonderful. It's you. We're there at 90, understanding our destiny that will be fulfilled, because God will move through us, through our time here. In the end, there'll be no here, no time. Just you and God as one beautiful presence. 93. '92. 91. 90. This will happen. It will come about. It will move through you, this presence, this understanding, this wisdom. You're here for a reason. And it isn't obvious that any reason, anything that could help, that could transform the indignities of this world, would have to do with a divine presence, which means that you are equal parts of that divine presence. You will fulfill your spiritual destiny. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for listening.